right, give me 1 second. I'll be right back.
So this is the source I spoke with, interviewing my brother, Danny Newman. He'll be back, hopefully.
Back.
So, what's going on?
Yeah, nothing. Just been doing taking pictures, which is always super awkward for me. Taking photographs. I don't know why it's always awkward for me, but it is.
Because you're not a pretentious cunt. Maybe that has something to do with it.
Maybe. Maybe I am, and that's just not one of my takes.
No, the kind of pictures you send me where you're being yourself are goofy as fuck, and they probably wouldn't want you to use those. But I say go for it because it's more real, you know. They're goofy pictures.
I'm more comfortable with a goofy picture than a serious picture, to be honest.
It's too windy out here.
But they want to see this mugshot for the book. Maybe for the book. They might not even use it. But they said for the book, for like advertisement, catalog stuff.
Yeah.
I haven't dealt with that.
Yeah. They gotta sell you.
Right.
So I was gonna ask you a simple question. What's up with the white and black tiled floors in the Masonic Lodge? What is that? What's that about?
That's a good question. There are a few answers. The official answer currently in use in the ritual is in the entered apprentice degree is where that comes up. And they say that it represents this world checkered over with good and evil. So it's said to officially represent
dichotomy,
good and evil. Mm-hmm.
But a dichotomy that's completely equally distributed and in a tiled plane. Well, I mean, you know, it's interesting. I don't know if you saw Peterson's interview with Penrose recently, but he was talking about how people with an intuitive leap of something might find an answer without all the painstaking research. And he was asking Penrose if maybe part of their mind is tiling the plane. So like they're taking data points, ding, 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 and then their creativity and their mind, their intuition stretches out into all directions and finds the answer immediately without having any way of getting there. It's like very interesting, the idea of tiling the plane.
Tiling, yeah. That's fascinating. Agreed. If you look in some of the older rituals, it doesn't say that. It doesn't say checkered over with good and evil. It says, and I'm paraphrasing because I haven't read this in years, but it's something to the degree of it represents brothers in a lodge who, even though they're different, can sit side by side with their differences. And I've always really liked that explanation. My personal interpretation, and this is a pretty far out interpretation, to be honest, but it's that it induces what's akin to a psychedelic state of mind. It induces a visionary state, and this is true because of what's called the stroving effect. And this effect was used in the Golden Dawn and what was called their Vault of Adepti, where it was made of these different squares of colors that were paired together such that colors that were on the opposite side of the color wheel were paired together. So it caused a flashing effect. And this flashing effect is very visual and off-putting.
Well, wait, wouldn't you think that's also the purpose of all the mosques and mausoleums? Like you used to send me, hundreds of pictures of that stuff. Like sacred geometry
aspect.
Yeah,
maybe some of that, but not the specific stroving effect, which is different. And if you look at
stroving,
I think it's called the McCullough effect.
Do you mean like the many arms of the blue Shiva? Is that like a stroving effect, sort of like a visual?
It's a flashing. It's a flashing, like red next to green. Like if you had we're trying to make
you're talking about like an optical illusion that plays with the mind.
If you trying to make a nice web page and you had a green background and you put your letters, your font, your color of your letters in red,
3D effect.
hard on the eyes. Right.
Yeah.
So that happens with green and red, with yellow and purple, with blue and orange.
Yeah, complementary opposites in the color wheel. Yeah.
That caused that flashing effect. And what
set this up.
I think her name was Marie Celeste. There are two different psychologists, Celeste and McCullough, and I can't remember which one started the effect. But
there
what
we
they
go.
What they determined was that this strobing effect looks like an optical illusion, but the effect isn't happening in the eyes at all. It's happening in the brain.
Yeah, it's the 3D processor.
They determined that this specific effect can last for up to 3 months after encountering it. So while the checkered floor isn't colors, it's black and white, which if you sit in a lodge and direct your gaze kind of just above the floor, kind of at the wall, but maybe at the where the wall meets the floor, you'll start to see in the corner of your eyes it flashing and rising, and you'll almost see a faint phantom checker floor that hovers above it. And this is just a visual effect, it looks like, but no, it happens. It's actually in the brain. I published a paper on it called The Checkered Pavement and Its Visionary Function. And I think it's on the, you can read it on the Phoenix Masonry website. I tried to break it down as best I could in terms of the psychologists that are using this and what they discovered and which magical orders were using it. But like Pascal Beverly Randolph, the famous African-American sex magician, he would use this to teach something he called tir-al-clairism, which is the ability to think of any image and then visualize it clearly, not in your head, but to see it in front of you. And the way he taught this was he would take 2 colored discs, one say blue, the other one slightly smaller and orange, and he would place them on top of each other and cause that flashing effect. And he would remove it, and your goal, what he's trying to train you to do, is make that flashing effect stay there after the image is gone, as long as you can, make it persist. And this is how he taught to eventually have clairvoyance, to see in other domains and dimensions and whatnot.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah. Yeah, you know, have you ever seen Adventure Time? No? So there's an interesting character called Simon, who was alive whenever the world went into an apocalypse. But he put on a magical crown that made him the Ice King. And so he slowly went insane, the Ice King. So he slowly goes insane, and it allows him to save some people that he loves, but he forgets who they are and who he is to them. You know, and it's a real sad story. So she survives because she's a vampire, his daughter, you know, and she lives on into the eons, and they have these run-ins, you know, but he doesn't know who she is. He's like, she's kind of hot, you know, and he has this weird relationship with her. He doesn't know who he is or she is. But it's interesting when there's an episode where you see through his eyes as the crazy mage, and there's shit everywhere, like things floating around, and like he sees so many things, you know, and he's just like this kooky, crazy person. But that's why, like, he's in like 5 worlds at once, and you don't understand until you see through his eyes. Like, dude's gone nuts with power and perception, you know. It's like very, very cool storyline.
I'm reading about a similar phenomenon in Haitian voodoo. I'm reading a book called, and I'm probably going to pronounce this wrong, Non-Domi, I think is
Non-Domi.
But it means, actually, I'm not sure what it means. It's such a strange, it's something akin to the dream state, but it's not dreaming, but it's where you would be in this world and the other world simultaneously. So we be ultimately responding to stimuli that other people wouldn't be seeing.
I mean, this is the Quetzalcoatl, you know, he who can be many places at once. If you look into it, a lot of people assume Frank Herbert had a bet with L. Ron Hubbard. That's actually not true. But what is interesting is there was a story that said they were trying to see which one of them could write a Messiah story that became a religion legitimately, and that L. Ron Hubbard won.
That.
But it's bunk. I've looked into it. It's not real. But what is real is that both of them were influenced by mushrooms. And
absolutely.
Yeah. So Frank Herbert was studying sand dunes.
Article on that.
He was studying the flow of sand dunes and was tripping on mushrooms, looking at the sand dunes, and had this big image about how the worms that eat the maggots that eat the in the ecosystem of growing the fungi and the sand dunes, and it all just clicked, about the worms and it's like, man, very interesting.
I mean, Herbert was a serious amateur mycologist. He invented the process we know as the slurry, which is where you make kind of a mix, a soup of mushroom with the spores all blended up, and so that you can inoculate
like a paste. Them. Yeah,
it's called a slurry. But
like Paul a spore Stamets, paste.
The famous mycologist Paul Stamets talked about how he knew Herbert, and the entire notion of the cerulean blue color that the spice induces in the eyes is about the bruising of the mushroom.